The day was cold at his military quarters in Pannonia, modern-day Serbia. 17th of March, 180 AD, aged 59, Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, died from an unknown cause. Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. I am William Mulligan, and today I'll be sharing with you a passage from the Emperor's personal handbook. Marcus Aurelius wrote this passage almost 2,000 years ago, and it is perhaps the most poignant and most important passage from his whole book. All of his writing, this is the most important. Why? Because it is the last passage he wrote before his death, and possibly the last bit of writing he ever did before his death. And it was for him, it was to console him, give his thoughts on death. This whole passage is about how to face death and how he greeted death as something he loves, amor fati, the love of one's fate. He greeted his death with love, with open arms, because at the end of the day, death is the fate of us all. So in this passage that I'll be sharing with you, he talks about death, he talks about life, and he talks about the acceptance of all things. By the time you've heard this passage and you've heard my explanation, hopefully a lot of your worries, anxieties, and your fear of death will start to peel away, start to dissolve, and you'll start to develop that excitement for the life you have. That's the whole core message behind Mp.Monarh.Motivation. It creates an urgency and a gratitude for life and the time that you have. So I believe once you've heard this passage and my explanation of what Marcus Aurelius was trying to portray, where he was in his life when he was writing this passage, it will give you that confidence, that calm that you get from understanding amor fati and Mp.Monarh.Motivation. So I hope you enjoy. Mortal man, you have lived as a citizen in this great city. What matter if that life is 50 or 5 years? The laws of the city apply equally to all. So what is there to fear in your dismissal from the city? This is no tyrant or corrupt judge who dismisses you, but the very same nature that brought you in. It is like the officer who engaged a comic actor, dismissing him from the stage. But I have not played my 5 acts, only 3. True, but in life, 3 acts can be the whole play. Completion is determined by that being who caused first your composition and now your dissolution. You have no part in either causation. Go then in peace. The God who lets you go is at peace with you. It's quite a profound piece of literature, and it's quite incredible that this has survived for almost 2,000 years. As Marcus Aurelius did not want anyone to see this. He wrote it for himself. It was his own life's wisdom. He wrote it. I'm not quite sure why he wrote it, but it was for himself. And he would use this advice that he learned over his life to help him be a good leader. And he is considered the last great emperor of Rome. And with that comes a lot of responsibilities, a lot of stress. Mortal man, you have lived as a citizen in this great city. So when he's referring to the city, you could say it is Rome, because that's where he's from. But the city is referring to the universe. The world around us is the great city. What matter if that life is 5 or 50 years? The laws of the city apply equally to all. So the laws of the city is the universal nature. And you could say that is God's plan. You could say that is fate. The Stoics believed in this universal nature, the way the world works. So these things will happen to us regardless of our actions. So we must learn to love our fate, amor fati, the love of one's fate. And when these things come to us, we can only accept them with open arms. Because to fight them is to fight our own nature, and they will happen regardless. You know, if it's going to rain outside, we can't go outside and tell the rain to stop. We can't cry in here or moan, and you can't cry at the traffic if you're stuck in traffic, but you can accept it. You can find some peace, some good in the present moment that you're in. So what is there to fear in your dismissal from the city? That's death. Your dismissal from the city is your passing. This is no tyrant or corrupt judge who dismisses you, but the very same nature that brought you in. So either you believe in God, you believe in the universal nature, but something has brought you into this world, Mother Nature, for example, and the same being, the same nature will take you out of this world, and you can't complain. There's nothing we can do about it. It is like the officer who engaged a comic actor dismissing him from the stage. But I have not played my 5 acts, only 3. True, but in life 3 acts can be the whole play. So the Stoics really impress on the idea of living life in the present moment. You know, Seneca goes on about the shortness of life and how it's not that we have so little time, it's that we waste so much of it. So one great year, one fulfilled year of talking to all the people you love, doing all the things you love, living life to your fullest, being a good character, being a good person, helping others, can be a much fuller life than 80 years of moaning about life, going through every day, complaining that this life is no good, being a bad person, hurting others. Aurelius uses a metaphor of the drama or the stage, an actor, a play. And you'll notice this a lot in his writings about like a playwright. God is the playwright of our nature. Constantly reflect on all things that happen now, have happened before. Reflect too that they will happen again in the future. Have in your mind's eyes whole dramas with similar settings, all that you know are from your own experience or earlier history. For example, the whole court of Hadrian, the whole court of Antoninus, the whole court of Philip, Alexander, Croesus, all the same as now, just a different cast. Life goes on, it's just cycles. You're born, you die, you're born, you die. And he says this about Hadrian, Antoninus, Philip, Alexander. These are all great people, very significant figures that everyone knew, and maybe at times you think they're untouchable or invincible, and you think they're going to last forever, but you know, at some point they're so grand, and then many years to come, they are just dust and ashes. It's like that quote from Troy.
In 1,000 years, the dust from our bones will be gone.
The properties of the rational soul. It looks on itself. It shapes itself. It makes itself however it wishes to be. It gathers for itself the fruit it bears, whereas the fruit of plants and the corresponding produce of animals is gathered by others. It achieves its own end, wherever the limit of life is set. Unlike a ballet or a play or such like, where any interruption aborts the whole performance. In every scene, and whenever it is cut off, the rational soul has its own program, complete and entirely fulfilled, so it can say, I am in possession of my own. Completion is determined by that being who caused first your composition and now your dissolution. So that is either God, nature, whatever you believe in, this being brought you in, it will take you out, and no kicking or fighting will ever stop that being from doing what their nature is, which is in turn your nature, as all our nature is tied together. It's incredible. I've got a coin, a Mox Aurelius silver denarius from almost 2,000 years ago, and it occurred to me that no matter how much that person tried to hold on to this coin, which is life, they tried to hold on to their life, they are now dust, and I own their coin. And my same fate will come in 2,000 years. Someone may pick up the same coin that I now own, and I'm just a mere fraction of time in the great grand scale. It's quite a beautiful piece, and maybe he was writing it for himself for some sense of peace. You know, I like go then in peace. That reminds me of Amor Fati. That's your fate. Be at peace with your fate. And the God who lets you go is at peace with you. It's your time. Nature is at peace with you. God is at peace with you. Everyone is at peace. And you will be greeted by either the afterlife, eternal peace, reincarnation, whatever it is, it's nothing to fear. So one last passage that will give a bit more clarity on the great city and the cosmic nature of the universe and our role in that nature. I just want to give you Aurelius' opinion on what it is to be a part of that nature and what it means to separate yourself from that nature. The soul of a man harms itself first and foremost when it becomes, as far as it can, a separate growth a sort of tumour on the universe. Because to resent anything that happens is to separate oneself in revolt from nature, which holds in collective embrace the particular natures of all other things. So, I think that's quite a powerful statement, and I think when you add all this information, if you take note of all the information and add it to Marcus Aurelius' final paragraph from his handbook, it gives you a peace of mind when you reflect on death. There's not something to fear, it is our nature, and every single human that has ever been before us, the billions of people, they faced the same fate, and everyone that comes after us will face the same fate, and it's just part of nature, and it's nothing to fear. So hopefully this helped you. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you would like to support what I'm doing, then please consider becoming a YouTube member or subscribing. Head over to my website, www.theeverydaystoic.com, where you can get this Amor Fati t-shirt. There's many other things on the website, but I really like the Amor Fati t-shirt because it's just a reminder to love my fate. When I see myself in the mirror, when I remember that I'm wearing this shirt, it just reminds me to love my fate. When maybe something annoys me or something bad happens, and if I remember I'm wearing this shirt, I go, oh, Amor Fati. And also it looks cool. So, and it supports what I'm doing. Head over to my Instagram, The Everyday Stoic, where I'm trying to build a Stoic community, so you can join in on that. I post regular Stoic content, Stoic videos, Stoic reels, Stoic memes, quotes, pretty much everything Stoic based, and sometimes there's little things that aren't Stoic based that you might enjoy. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.